now with us on Overdrive. Now, could the single-motor Volvo XC40 Recharge be the best deal in the luxury EV space today? Well, Tuhin's in-depth review should help us find out.
Now, what if you want an EV with a luxury badge but don't want to pay those very high prices or don't even want the blistering performance? Then this single-motor XC40 Recharge might have some answers for you. Look very closely and you notice that you don't get fog lamps or pixel LED lighting with this version. But otherwise you have that smart, restrained Volvo look. Now there's no real way to tell the cabin of this lower single motor variant of the XC40 Recharge apart from the higher trim, and that's no bad thing because what you still get is a contemporary space. I mean, the XC40 in various forms has been around a long time, but the cabin still remains really quite contemporary despite all the new entrants that you've had in this sort of space. Now, this being a Volvo, of course, another trait that you can't miss is practicality. Now, to start with, there's a lot of eco-friendliness inside here because this is an EV. So, a lot of the mats and a lot of this suede here that you see here is recycled or from microplastics, which is thoughtful. The front seats have just the right cushioning and support helped by extendable squabs. There's big door pockets, a deep cubbyhole with a removable garbage bin, and a thoughtfully arranged center console. The 9-inch central touchscreen now feels a touch too small, not helped by the portrait orientation, but the Google integration is still great. iPhone users may have some trouble, but you get Apple CarPlay to tide over this. The 12.3-inch driver's display is minimalistic and clean, although a few more layout options would have been nice. Now to start with, there is a pretty decent amount of space. I mean, it's par for the course in this segment. In fact, slightly better considering I can put my feet right underneath here. For my height, there's a lot of knee room and leg room. As you can see, headroom is also quite decent. Not especially great, but still good. This window is slightly small, but just enough to give you an airy feel. And the seat is wide too. Yeah, a third passenger will be troubled by this quite high center console, and that's why we get to the part of this XC40 being based on an IC architecture, and so that's one aspect of it. Now another thing that the XC40 does, which is considering the window is a bit too tiny, maybe seeing out of the back might be an issue, is that you can fold down the headrest. With this lesser version, you lose out on features like pixel LED headlamps, fog lamps, 360-degree cameras, and a Harman Kardon sound system. That being said, the E60 variant gets features such as these. As you would expect from a Volvo, safety isn't compromised. You get a full suite of ADAS functions with rear collision support, hill descent control, and 7 airbags. Now, as you know, with these Volvos, there's no key, so you just get in, buckle up, put it in drive and set off, and it's still a novelty. It's not the first time that we're driving these cars, but it's a novelty that's not worn off yet. And as soon as you start driving, you realize that the outputs, yeah, they're much lesser than what the dual motor version makes. It's about 238 PS and 420 Newton meters, but by no means does it feel inadequate. In fact, it feels just right, just about at par with, say, a lot of the IC cars in that segment, but with that briskness, that immediacy that you have with an EV. So yeah, you start off like how you would in pretty calmly. There's no drive mode. It's very simple with a Volvo, right? They don't have any drive modes, anything of that sort. The only thing that you can change is the regen. So where you can put it in either auto or single pedal driving. But we think that this auto mode really is quite intuitive. It uses the ADAS functions, the ADAS hardware to detect what's happening. For example, now it's rolling, but if someone were to come in front of me, it would just come right down to a complete halt, which is quite smart. It then starts to pick up in much the same way as the dual motor version, with a soft linear pull that's manageable in traffic. But unlike the big boost in performance, there's a growing swell that again goes with the soft demeanor of the car. You still have enough grunt for most situations, and helpfully the performance doesn't seem to fade away as you pass triple-digit speeds. This version of the XC40 Recharge uses a smaller 69 kWh battery pack. That being said, WLTP range hasn't seen a especially big drop given that it's drawing much less power. So you have a rated 475 kilometers. We couldn't put this EV through a full real-world test, although we did see an indicated 350 kilometers of range at 81% charge. So over 400 kilometers on a full charge can be easily expected in regular driving. Charging speeds are also good, although not the best in the segment. Priced at Rs 54.95 lakh, the Volvo XC40 Recharge E60 is only 2.95 lakh less than the all-wheel drive E80 variant. We think this is too narrow a gap between the two versions, which will push most buyers to the top trim anyway. If this single motor version were to be priced at around Rs 50 lakh, it would make for an enticing package with the ambience and equipment it offers, along with the impressive efficiency and driving character.
With that, it's a wrap on this week's edition of Overdrive. But remember, you can stay in touch with the team through our various social media platforms. You can write to us on YouTube as well as Instagram. Until we see you next week then, drive and ride safe.